Hey, how's it going? It's Sam Frost here from Easy PPC Tutorials. In today's short video, I want to talk about whether or not you should ever use a smart campaign in Google Ads and what situations a smart campaign might be appropriate. So if you're not familiar with the concept, a smart campaign is basically Google's stripped down, simplified setup campaign type that is typically pushed on new advertisers who are often getting into the platform through advertising via Google My Business or setting up a Google Ads account for themselves for the first time. Google wants to try and make the process as easy as possible for you, or at least that's what they say. The truth is probably a little bit more that they do want to streamline the process, but also make it a little bit harder to do a lot of sort of proper fundamental optimizations that might give you better performance. One of the big downsides with smart campaigns is that kind of everything is rolled into this one slightly nebulous campaign that's a little bit hard to decipher the performance of. And so what that does is potentially portrays an inaccurate picture of how your campaign is performing. But I digress. I'll come back to that point later on in this video. Should you use a smart campaign? Well, it really depends on what you're looking to do. So long story short, a smart campaign could be a good idea in certain circumstances. The main circumstance, in my experience, where smart campaigns can make sense is if you operate a business in a set area. So you're operating in a city or a town or a region, for example, and you operate something like a local service business that has a very clear cut product or service that you offer. So there's nothing that's kind of unequivocal about it. It's really straightforward what you do. So, for example, I live in Christchurch, New Zealand. So if I had a business where I was doing plumbing services, for example, call out plumbing services, that's the sort of business that might work okay with a smart campaign. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it can. Now, with smart campaigns, you lose a lot of the ability to do optimization, but there is an advantage for smaller businesses, and that is that with a smart campaign, it's pretty hands off, and also doing the optimizations that you can do is quite easy. What this can mean is that if you are a small business, it might make more sense, or if you run a small business that's very easy to understand. So basically, Google's system can understand what you sell and who you sell it to. One advantage can be that you don't then have to go and pay for management of ads. Now, this, of course, is crazy coming from someone who runs Google Ads for clients on a daily basis. Why am I telling you that you don't need to pay people? Well, a lot of it comes into what your budget is. So if you have a really small budget or a tight budget, it's going to cost you money to get anyone halfway decent, halfway competent at running your ads. And more often than not, if your budget is tight and you have a business that works well from a smart campaign perspective, you can do better by putting more budget into the advertising than you necessarily can by having, say, a properly set up search campaign with maybe an accompanying display campaign or something like that, managed by a professional Google Ads manager or freelancer or agency or whatever. And I do see a lot of account audits I do, and I'll tell clients if this is the situation where they're spending, say, their total budget to spend on Google advertising is $500 a month, and they're spending $200 on an ad spend and $300 on a management fee. And realistically, they'd be better off just having a smart campaign set up, learning how to do some basic optimizations via that, and letting Google run it for them. And realistically, they're probably going to get more leads, more sales, more targeted traffic from that. If you've got something like an e-commerce store, you've got a bigger budget. If you're in the business to business space, which can be a lot harder to get keyword targeting right, because it can be very hard to kind of contextualize exactly what someone might search to find your solution. That's where you really don't want to be using smart campaigns. So smart campaigns, if you have something like a cafe in an area, or a restaurant, or a electrician or plumber, or some kind of business that's very easy, anyone can understand what it is you do and the area in which you serve or sell, that could be a good fit if you have a smaller budget. If you have a big budget, if you are selling something that's quite hard to understand, like where I've seen business to business clients who are selling quite complex products or solutions, oftentimes when they've done a smart campaign because someone in the business has set something up to test, it's been a total flop because Google just gets the complete wrong end of the stick. The client is selling, say, like a set of tools or a specific type of tools to electricians. So, they're manufacturing and producing a product for electricians, and Google interprets that as, let's advertise this business for anyone searching for electrician in Auckland or electrician in Christchurch or, NZ electricians or whatever the case may be. That's where smart campaigns are crap. That's where they're rubbish. The other area where they're rubbish is if you don't ever go in and check in on them and see how they're performing. And what I'm going to do in a future video is just go through how a smart campaign setup works, show you an example, and then let it run for a bit and actually go and show you what you can do from an optimization perspective. But yeah, at a high level, smart campaigns a lot of the time aren't a good idea. But if you're down the lower end of the budget scale, if it's looking like it's going to cost you as much or more, per month or per quarter or whatever the case may be, to actually pay someone to do Google Ads for you because you don't have the time, you might just be better off to do a smart campaign and just let Google kind of have at it as long as your business is easy to interpret and understand. And I know I'll probably catch some heat for saying this, but I have definitely seen quite a few accounts where this is the case. And I've said that to clients or prospective clients, look, let's get you set up with a smart campaign that you can manage in a few minutes a week yourself and show you how to go in and look at, search query or search term themes and disable ones you don't want, how to tweak the ad copy and so on, and just let it run for a bit. Yes, you could get a better setup campaign by doing it manually, but by the time you pay for that and pay for ongoing management and so on, it's actually not going to work out in your favor. It's better to take some of the lower quality stuff that Google does with the smart campaign and roll with those punches, but get more distribution of your ads. So yeah, keen to hear your thoughts. That's my high-level take on smart campaigns, whether they ever make sense. Hopefully you find it helpful. In some future videos, I will go through the smart campaign setup process and optimization process, and also try to show you, with some real-world examples, how you might determine whether it's time to migrate away from smart campaigns or not. So yeah, hopefully you find that helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if it was helpful and subscribe for more free Google Ads advice.